You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darrow O'Connor on the...
Welcome to the Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling.
Was Impact Turning Point?
Yes, it was. So this was from Newcastle upon Tyne, and it's annoying because I could have went to this as well, but I literally was like, I think
ye who Dara, not to let our listeners behind the curtain, but Dara has a propensity for, Dara would be sitting typing away, working on his work desk, and he'll drop his stapler, and he'd be like, "Oh, I dropped the stapler. Ugh, that's it. I'm going to Rome for the week."
Not even a joke.
Yeah, not even
a joke. No,
not even a joke. Darryl wake up in the morning, bang his toe, and be like, "Oh, I'm going to Barcelona. I've had enough."
Oh my God.
The fact that you didn't go to Turning Point, I'm actually shocked.
I'll tell you, the only reason why I didn't was because my band Horrenda are literally in the middle of a tour. So if I had have went, I wouldn't have made it back for a tour.
Can I also say,
that's the only reason.
Horrenda are actually genuinely brilliant.
Thank you, man.
He's come up to Belfast to. I've seen them do gigs, and they're genuinely sensational. Like, I went to the Horrenda gig in Belfast just because Dara's my friend. I was like, "Oh, my friend's playing a gig, I better go." Blah blah blah. And I got down there, and I was like, "That can't be my friend. That's a monster on a bass. That's that can't be the Dara I know. He looks like he eats puppies. This is mental." But no, fantastic gig. So I completely understand, because
but that's the reason why
are a magnificent band.
Honestly, man, thank you so much. Like that.
TNA, if you want to expand in Ireland, pick one of your wrestlers and have them do a Horrenda entrance.
We would actually be all up for that, because that would be class. But actually, there was a great article, not to go on too much of a tangent, but there's a great article on Ranker of all places, where it was like top wrestling entrances, like musical entrances, and some of them are actually like really cool. I forgot Fozzy got booed the first time they played on Raw. Like horrendously booed. It was pretty funny.
Even I can say that they weren't great at all. I mean, I don't think it was like Twitter reacts to everything like it's the end of the world. So I don't think it was the Twitter reaction, but it was a bit terrible when they played it all in.
I'll try to find the article and put it up on social media, because it was actually pretty good. But yeah, no, I mean, that would be a dream come true, legitimately. But thank you for the kind words, man. But that's the only reason why
they're not even kind; they're just accurate. But
but that's the only reason why I didn't go to Turning Point, because if I had of, I wouldn't have made it back for our tour dates. The only reason.
But just to defend Jericho, I think was it like Revolution 2020 where they had a choir sing Judas. That was amazing.
You know what?
But then again, that was the choir. That wasn't Fozzy.
Well, you know what's crazy though, right? Because one of the big theme songs that TNA used to use was "Enemy" by Fozzy, which actually might be their best song in my opinion. And it's just weird because, like, I can't remember what show it was for. I think it was in like 2007. Christian Cage was there, and like it was actually like perfect for that TNA vibe at the time. And it's just like, man, how did that happen? How did they start using Fozzy on like TNA and Jericho has never once showed up?
Well, I'll
You know?
tell you this. I'm from a really rural area of Ireland. Like I'm from a really rural part of South Armagh. And we have out where we are, there's nothing but just fields and lakes, right? And then out in the middle of it, there's this huge building. And it's not a community centre. It's not a bank. It's not a something useful. It's a giant cavernous church, right? There's only however many people in the local area, but they've built a church for, all of Rome. A huge church. So if I ever die, that's probably where my funeral will be. Huge cavernous thing. Everything echoes around it. And I'm telling you this now, and I want the listeners to know this is my will and testament that if and when I die, because it's not
Not confirmed.
confirmed, I might not die, but if I die, I want Horrenda to play my
Oh man.
play my coffin down the aisle.
Oh,
Any song of your choice, but the point is that ye lads are so loud and it's so ceramic and cavernous that it would just echo within itself into eternity and it'd probably collapse the building. That's what I want.
Actually, we have been booked to play someone's wedding, like legitimately. So
That's kind of a death.
that's kind but it's just like, Horrenda, weddings, funerals, or misfits, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Hi, we're Horrenda. We're available for weddings and funerals.
Oh, but see, the thing about like weddings, you can make like $6,000 by just playing one gig. So that's serious money, like.
Well, I love you, Dara. I truly do. But I guarantee you this: you'll not make $6,000 playing my wedding.
Oh my god, I don't know. Wedding bands are expensive. It's crazy. It's some grift. I have to say, fair play to anyone who does it. Like it's a serious set, but like,
I'll be honest.
heaps of money.
Not that I don't love my missus, but we'll be ordering pizza and having a CD player.
Or Spotify. They have an AI DJ now. You're good.
Bang! Just
Yeah.
like
I mean, it works.
just give us metal and rebel songs. Like
There you go. So look, this show obviously was from Newcastle upon Tyne. It was the 27th of October, and it was also an incredibly hot crowd. Similar in like size, but also like in intensity. Now, what was interesting about this is a lot more matches were obviously announced because it was a pay-per-view. So we kind of knew a lot more going in than the TV shows because they were kind of announced on the day. So this was like literally the day after. There were a couple of dark matches. We'll skip over those. Unfortunately, Rhino was in one of them, and as was Grado. So that was disappointing.
And again, I don't want to sound like we hate Grado, but look, I tried to be a wrestler and I never made it. So fair play to Grado. So I don't want it to sound like I'm being like snarky or anything, but like I thought AEW used him perfectly. Bring him out in the pre-show, have him do a bit of crack with Jeff Jarrett, and then go away. If I wanted to be like a serious wrestling company, I wouldn't have Grado. Like he's fantastic for the live crowd. Awesome, like when he comes into smaller venues and stuff like that. But whenever you put him on a big stage, like I was watching the match he did on Impact, and I was like, this is fine because it's only a weekly episode and they're in Glasgow and blah blah. But you couldn't hire him because if this match was happening anywhere else, like outside of the local context, this is mad cringe.
That's the joke, though. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
like it's like everyone.
Me and you get the joke, and people in Scotland get the joke, but people in LA don't get the joke. People
Yeah,
in
and that is
Texas
true.
don't get the joke.
And
People
that
in
is true. Yeah.
Montreal don't get the joke. All they see is, so like, and I don't mean this to sound disparaging because he's great at what he does and he has gone a million times further in wrestling than I ever did. But if he ever wants to get beyond that level, then that Grado gimmick has to change.
It's unfortunate because it is like it's his money maker. It's like what
is.
people expect. So it's like either he either he does what we said he would do, is look genuinely a good career path where he goes around the indies and has a long successful career out of that. Or he actually
and he could do that well in old age because he doesn't take any bumps.
No, he doesn't. That's the thing. Like it's like the safest WWE style ever. Like he doesn't take any bumps.
He's the Kevin Nash of the indies.
But I will have to say as well, super nice guy, genuinely. Like the nicest guy.
Again,
So,
I hope that doesn't sound like I'm.
No, it doesn't.
Being
But I mean,
disparaging
I'm
sure he knows.
Yeah. No, look, here's the thing. I think he's enough of a professional to know what the story is, and the crowd also know what the story is.
Yeah.
So it's
the
like
crowd knows the story, and the crowd loves the story.
they do love the story, but I mean the thing of it is like if he was to do that in Dublin, I don't think it would be as over as it is in England. I mean, it is very much a very English, or sorry, don't want to say English,
Well,
very
it's
British,
Scottish.
a very UK-ish thing, if that makes sense. Like it'll get over in England, it'll get over in Wales, get over in Scotland. You might get over in the north of Ireland.
No, don't be lumping us in with them.
No. But I'm saying it's the same. Once you cross over, it might get over, but it might not. You know what I mean? Like once you get over onto the island of Ireland, it's like okay, and that's only like.
I'm gonna send Jerry Adams down to have a word with you.
No, but I'm saying like imagine trying to get that over in France. Let's try there.
Exactly.
It wouldn't.
No,
so imagine trying to get over in Germany.
Like this is why. So All In, they kept it on the pre-show, and they kept it mainly for the live crowd, and it was great crack. And similarly with Impact, they kept it for the. I mean, they had him on the pre-show, and they had him on the Impact prior.
Didn't have him on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, but they didn't have them pay-per-view in that because he's super hot, mad over with the local crowd. But if AEW had a Dynamite on Wednesday and there was a match between John Moxley and Grado,
Oh my god! Imagine.
that'd be the end of the company.
Yeah, it would. That'd be the end of the company.
End of it.
Yeah, probably.
End of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
love him. Best, like, wish him the best in the world, but completely understand why.
So does he get a
all-
Bukali? Does he get a Bukali status or not?
Well, there's a question. Is Grado Bukali? He's kind of really successful, but not successful in the right way. Is he the King Bukali?
I mean, I thought the Big Boss Man was, but like.
No, the big boss
Right.
man obviously is. As soon as he said his name, I think
he's just the Hall of Fame. I just love the Big Boss. I don't know, but great. That's the thing. I mean, I think Grado is like the modern day King of the Bukali, though, because like
but even
he's super over. People love him.
Look at the list of Bukalis. Like, even being in the question for Bukali means you've made it as a wrestler. Like,
that's true.
Like when you say Bukali, it's not an insult. Like, you're up
No,
there
it's not.
with the likes of the Boss Man, Road
Dogg,
Al
Snow.
Snow. Like, these are guys who are more famous than we'll ever be. Like.
Hold on a second. How dare you disparage the Road Dogg, former number one contender, 3 seconds away from being the world champion in the height of the edge there.
1, 2, 3. That's how close he came
to beating The Rock.
Winning the world championship from The Rock at the height of the Attitude Era.
If that doesn't speak Bukali, come on.
why we disparage him as much as we do, I will never know. I mean, obviously,
we shouldn't disparage
because he's a piece of.
No, we are
flip.
just talking about the wrestler, not the person.
Yeah, definitely not the person.
Not the person.
No.
Anyway,
it wasn't the person. It was the wrestler who did that really weird, incredibly racist promo with Conan.
So look, I agree. I think even Impact know. Look, we can't have Grado on the main show. Long term. I think they're aware of it. I was only sad this wasn't on the show because I love Rhino. I wanted to see Rhino win because my heart broke when he was defeated in Glasgow.
Wait, by Grado?
No, he wasn't defeated by Grego. He was defeated by Rich Swann.
Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But
it makes sense, but it doesn't hurt any less.
Grado has his this all sounds like we're disparaging or taking a hand out of Grado. We're not. Grado has his place, and he's brilliant at it. And if he wants to be something more, I'm sure he can be. I'm sure he can take that gimmick and he can evolve it. Let's all remember, Orange Cassidy started off in AEW, and the Cornette fans just lost their mind. That this is the worst. Wrestling's dead. This is the worst thing to happen. And now Orange Cassidy is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he hasn't compromised his gimmick. He's stayed who he was, but he's evolved it. He still does his hands in the pocket stuff. He still does his I don't care stuff. But then he gets in the ring and he wrestles like a goddamn champion.
Absolutely. And that's it. I think it's all about kind of growing with the company. And Grado, unfortunately, with Impact being the way it is now, even the way this pay-per-view was presented, where it was super indie, Grado could appear, but long term, that's not what you want when TNA are back in, where it's okay, in the UK, you know what you're going to get. He's going to come out and he's going to do his thing, and it's going to be great. But if you're going, he's the cornerstone of our company, as I said, him versus John Moxley on Dynamite would probably be the end of the company.
Turning Point in England is grand, but you don't want him at Bound for Glory.
No, absolutely. I think he was at Bound for Glory once.
You don't want him at Bound for Glory fighting for the world title.
No, absolutely not. So look, the first match here was actually very good. Subculture lost to Eric Young and Josh Alexander. Now, Subculture were great when I saw them in Glasgow. They're young. They're a young team, but they have a lot of upside. Eric Young. They have a lot of upside to them, right? But obviously, Eric Young and Josh Alexander absolutely killed them. So it was 14 minutes of a beating, but Subculture came out looking really good.
Really good match. What I liked about it, obviously, the in-ring was really good. Very high quality. Great way to start off the pay-per-view.
It really was. Yeah, it was it was a classic TNA match where the opener is a proper barn burner.
A proper banger.
Yeah.
What I loved in particular was that it started with Eric Young's, the pay-per-view basically started with Eric Young's entrance video. There was no, I don't know, maybe we're used to AWWB fireworks and announcements and all that, but it started with his entrance video, and I really like that. But one of the main things I got from this, apart from the fact that Eric Young and Josh Alexander, and to a lesser extent Subculture, but mainly Eric Young and Josh Alexander, amazing wrestlers. But I absolutely love this. Maybe they mean to do it, maybe they don't, but I absolutely love this Team Canada gimmick they have.
Oh yeah, no, they absolutely do mean to do it. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
It's 100%
Are they going to win the titles and put Canada stickers over them? Because if they do, I'm all in on TNA. I'm with. If they do that, I'm with you. I'm watching TNA every week.
No, it absolutely is on purpose, man. They're doing it 100% on purpose.
If they go with this, if they win those titles and they put Canadian stickers over them. I swear to God, I'm with you, Dara, and our Lord and Savior Dean Malenko. I no God. I got the Canadian wrong. It's not Dean Malenko. It's what do you call him? Help me out here.
You talking about Chris Benoit?
No, bother God, no. He used to do the Team Canada gimmick.
Oh,
Lance Storm.
Lance Storm.
Dean Malenko.
I was like, where are you going with this? That was-
In the name of Martin and Dara and our Lord I said Dean Malenko again. Lance Storm.
Lance Storm.
I am all in on this gimmick. They're not only is it great crack, but they are phenomenal wrestlers.
They are. And here's the thing as well. Like it started off the show incredibly well, incredibly hot, and it just went up from there. The next match was a very, very good women's match. Now, what was interesting about this was Giselle Shaw. She is another wrestler who wrestled in Glasgow, and she was going against Jordina Grace, right? But her gimmick is also very, princessy, where she's like a classic diva. But then she goes in and has these absolute killer matches, and she looked great over Alex Windsor. I didn't really expect Alex to win, but I didn't expect a match to be of such high quality like this. This was like a proper, main event NXT in its height wrestling match, where the women both went in, literally left it all in the ring.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's the inexperienced nature of the wrestlers, or maybe it's the fact that I love the opener so much. I wasn't quite as high on this. I didn't think it was bad match by any measure. I just wasn't quite as high in this. So it was maybe it's a wee bit sloppy, a wee bit. Do you know when someone hasn't botched?
Yeah.
But the move looks just a bit too cooperative. I got a little bit of sense of that. And again, that's like nobody did anything wrong. Nothing about this was bad. I enjoyed the match. I thought Giselle was terrific. Like I saw both these wrestlers were like you could look at them and go, oh yeah, there's definitely potential there for the future. I just thought this match maybe wasn't their best. That's all.
That's totally fair. The next match had Rich Swann defeated Trey Miguel via pinfall. Rich Swann has really kind of grown on me. I wasn't huge on him for actually quite a while. But every time I've seen him wrestling, and particularly in Glasgow as well, I was like, all right, this guy, there is something about him. The crowd loves him. Absolutely loves him. But I think I'm becoming a bit of a fan. I have to say, he's very good.
This match for me was TNA's six-sided ring. So
yeah. No,
we talked a bit
Yeah.
earlier how six-sided ring used to be what defined them. But the main thing, and again, I say this as I kind of feel like a bit of a fraud saying this because I haven't been the same fan that you have. But like people talk about six-sided ring, people talk about Hogan, whatever else. For me, the main thing that defined TNA was the X division.
This was an X division match. That's what this was.
This was it.
Yeah.
This was, and I think it's really important for anybody listening who doesn't know what the X division is, who thinks, oh, it's a light heavyweight title or it's cruiserweight. No, it's not.
No. X division is no limits.
It's something else.
Yeah, X division means no limits.
Yeah, the X division it's something else. I don't know how you define it, but the X division is. I don't know if you're going to call it something. What would you call it? The lunatic title? It's.
Well, no, I mean
something else. But
it depends. Yeah, it depends who owns it. You know, it depends. Like like so it kind of became known as like a more extreme light heavyweight kind of thing with
but
spots,
not extreme.
but not always
hitting each other with light tubes and
No.
toilet roll and all, like extreme in this style of wrestling, like a kind of an Americanized version of lucha libre.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's like. Yeah,
Like excellent, like genuinely fascinating stuff. But something that WWE and WCW didn't do. So WCW had its cruiserweights, which is probably the closest to it, but still not the X division. So the X division is something that used to separate TNA, and till this day, it still does, because this match was excellent, and this match was X division.
yeah, I agree there. Because again, X Division means no limits, and this is more what people would expect from the X Division. So both guys are great. Trey Miguel really also a kind of like an unknown to me. Very much impressed me. The next match we had kind of what we hoped for the night before.
Also, just before we go on to this next match, which I'm going to say some weird stuff about. But before we get on to it, oh my God, your man Miguel did a 450 from the middle rope.
Incredible.
So it's like normally when you talk about moves like from the ropes, normally the higher you go, the riskier it is. But this dude did a 450 from the middle rope.
Absolutely an incredible performer. Really is. Really is.
Pure X division. This is X division.
So the next match we had kind of the match that we wanted the night before. Like two standouts, Jordana Grace and Danny Luna. Obviously Grace would win by pinfall, but you had comments. I'm intrigued.
So during the week, Samoa Joe and Keith Lee had a match. Brilliant. I don't know if you saw it for the TV title. Fantastic match. But the crowd kept chanting different things, like different versions of meat, like all meat or just meat. You know, these two huge guys just beating the hell out of each other. And as I was watching this, I got that exact same thing. Like, this was not a technical masterclass, but this was two powerful women just beating the living hell out of each other, hitting hard, slamming hard. Like, I got massive Chris Statlander vibes of both these women. Maybe some of the moves are a wee bit sloppy. Maybe some of them, you know, weren't as clean as they could have been. But then again, like, I don't know if I could lift Danny Luna or Jordan Grace up my shoulders and, you know, and throw them over. Like, but man, I was really impressed by this, because this was, I mean, the point of me comparing it to the Joe and Keith Lee match was that this was not a women's match. This was a Haas match.
Yeah.
You know,
it was a Haas match. It really was.
It wouldn't matter if they were men or women. This was a Haas match. And the only difference between this Haas match and a male Haas match was at the end of it, kind of wanted Danny Luna to step on me. But
there you go, folks.
Beyond that, total equality between men and women. I didn't want Keith Lee to step on me. Totally wanted Danny Luna to step on me.
There we go. Put that on a shirt. So the next match was Joe Hendrick.
Have you nothing to say? Have I said it all?
You've said it all. I do not know how to top that. Honestly,
well, that means you wanted her to step on you as well. And I'm going to tell Hannah.
So the next match, Joe Hendrick versus Simon Miller. Now,
right, you can't even talk about this match until you talk about the promos, the video. This was the match was the least important part of this.
Yes. So, for anyone that doesn't know, Simon Miller is a YouTuber, wrestler, works for What Culture, and it's kind of like the face of their wrestling.
That wasn't a sound effect, folks. We're spitting. What culture owe Dara money?
Also, not a joke. But yeah, so this whole thing was built online. It was built on promos. It was built kind of off platform. Really, it's an interesting thing that they actually did. Now I've seen Impact do this before to mixed results, so it's not unfamiliar territory. However, they've never done it with someone of such quality as a Joe Hendrick, and to be fair, Simon Miller. You know, this is the first time they've done it where it's actually worked.
Yeah.
And it's worked well. Because look, again, there was some in the dark days of Impact Wrestling, they did stuff like this, and it was really bad. So it's actually really cool that they've managed to do it, and it worked. And it's one, because Joe Hendrick is unbelievable. Simon Miller is, a proper professional here with this as well. He's a wrestler. He knows what's going on, and they've actually scripted this out. What TNA would, well, not TNA, what Impact would do is in the past they'd have some random celebrity do this, and it wouldn't work.
This was the best example of this I've ever seen.
Yes.
In any company.
Yes. I 100% agree.
So there's two things. One, related to this was excellent. They played this to perfection. They bickered on Twitter and Instagram, and then they kind of had a live video of them meeting up in the What Culture offices and then falling out and fighting and blah blah, and then they kept negging each other over social media. This was done to perfection, right? So that's point one. This is done to perfection. Point two, this is what can be achieved, right? And I know people are people, but I don't know if this is going to sound mad draconian. Maybe people are going to disagree with this. I think wrestlers should be their persona online. If you are look at MJF. MJF's mad over because he is MJF online. He's not Maxwell Friedman. He's MJF online. Danhausen is wild over because he is Danhausen online. This storyline got over because Simon Miller and Joe Hendry were Simon Miller and Joe Hendry online. Like they were negging each other, they were taking shots at each other, they were taking the proverbial urine out of each other. They were like, this is how you do an online feud without it being cringe or staged or kind of feeling fake. This was, of the entire night, it wasn't the best match because the match was only okay, but the match didn't even matter. The match was almost superfluous to this.
The match didn't matter. It was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah,
that what
build
happened
was phenomenal, and WWE, AEW, and New Japan should all sit down and watch this and learn. This is how you build stories outside of your television.
And this is what I was saying earlier. Impact have set a standard for a lot of things, and not only doing smaller shows on a global scale, but also integrating what they have. And then again, you have to give credit to Joe Hendrick, who is actually involved with a lot of this. A lot of this was him. So it's genuinely,
he's excellent.
He's excellent.
He's so brilliant. We're on to the pay-per-view now, but an hour ago we were talking about the Impact show, and the minute his music started, and I saw him and he did that cheesy turn to the camera, and he started clapping. I was like,
It's incredible.
"Oh, turns out I'm a Joe Hendry fan. I never knew that."
I had the same experience.
37 years old. I never knew that about myself. But turns out sitting here on my couch in my pants with a big bottle of whiskey, turns out I'm just in love with Joe Hendry.
You could say
Who
that
knew?
you believe in Joe Hendry.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Clap, clap. Oh man, he's wonderful. He really is I don't know, man. I mean, future world champion, absolutely.
Now
Face
here's
of
the
the
thing:
company, absolutely. Go on.
is that we're talking about this as if this is going to lead into the match, but it's not going to lead into the match, because what it's going to lead into is, brace yourself, folks, the Joe Hendry music video, which was even better.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
It was amazing. It was. Hold on, I've got my notes here, and this is not going to do it justice, because I'm not singing it the way Joe Hendry sang it, and I'm not doing the proper rhymes. I'm only just telling you the comparisons he made. So he does this incredible pop song about how Simon Miller is stone cold if you ordered him from wish.com. Or Simon Miller is Mr. Clean. And then he puts up a picture of Mr. Clean, and you're like, oh my God, he literally is.
He literally is.
And then to put the nail in the coffin, he doesn't even make a joke out of this. He just says, here's a picture of Simon Miller from 2012, 10 years ago. And he's doing a big goofy look at the camera, and he has luxurious long hair. And he's bald now, so it was just owned. Just incredibly owned. This was fantastic. Okay, so the match only went 6 minutes, and it was fine. It wasn't
The match. The match didn't matter. At the end.
Yeah, but it wasn't even a bad match.
No,
it was a perfectly fine match, but none of it mattered because this was the business.
And here's the thing: he's not a heel. He's super over, but he was doing heelish things in a sense. But then also he comes out and everybody cheers him. So, look, I'm sure they're aware, but Impact Wrestling have gold. They have absolute gold with them, and it's just
enormous.
But here's the thing: as I said, it's like when I went to the WWE house show, I had no expectations. LA Knight walks out, and instantly I'm like, this guy's a megastar. Got the same vibe when Joe Hendrick walked out. I was like, this guy is a megastar. You
can absolutely hear those people screaming that exact same thing, but with 5, 10, 15,000 fans.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You can absolutely see Joe Hendry going toe to toe with Orange Cassidy for the international title. He has something here, and Impact TNA is amazing. It's on the up and up. We're absolutely saying right here that TNA is on a different trajectory, but Joe Hendry could take this gimmick anywhere he wanted.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's so organic, and it's the difference between, again, I would just find myself randomly going to the car or walking around the house singing his theme music randomly, and I'm like, damn, that's.
But it's
such a good idea.
Point. It's sure half a Seth Rollins isn't half the wrestler he was 10 years ago, but people love him now because they get to go, oh, whatever. Joe Hendry's just walk around singing that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just incredible. But look, the next match, to kind of wrap this up, because we are kind of short for time, was
are we going into extra time, or are we just gonna?
Yeah, no, we'll go into extra time. But
Push, folks,
so
hit the Patreon.
that's
Give
it.
us that X-Pac euro. 'Cause
Or how about I believe in Joe Hendrick Fiver.
I believe in Joe Five.
Even better. So look, the next match was a tag team match with Chris Sabin and Frankie Kazarian. I believe the Guns were supposed to be on this show, but they were removed, and Kazarian filled in.
Why?
Hold on,
I'm so intrigued by the.
he suffered an injury.
Okay.
So he
But
must have
I'm
been
still
injured.
so
He must have been
intrigued by
injured
Guns
in
'cause
Glasgow.
they're so good. They're so unbelievably good. Are they just really principled? Is it they just don't want to be involved with like major wrestling corporations? They just want to. Are they just really principled? Is that it?
I think it comes down to the fact that ever since I've been watching TNA, they were part of it. Like, I'll be honest with you, if AJ Styles was the same, there's a reason why he didn't go to WWE until literally
You
he
did.
thought the place. No, until like when he left, there was nothing left of TNA.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, like and I'd say like if things went bad in WWE or if you could get Elvis Connor, he probably would go back to TNA. Legitimately, I could see that happening. But it's just one of
Do
those
you
things
think
where
if TNA get back up on their feet, he might end his career? Or just
potentially, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked because the TNA originals, they loved TNA. They genuinely believed in the company, and you're seeing this
well,
with
they
the Guns
did.
because they're there.
To be fair to them, they did an incredible thing. Like they presented an alternative when nobody thought one was possible, and in fact, one wasn't even possible.
Yeah.
Like they were kind of the acolytes, like they stuck to the cause even when it seemed impossible.
And that exactly is why the Guns are there, because they're like, okay, we can actually build this back up. We can build this to be, what it should have been for the past couple of years, and that's probably why. Look, there's no saying that he probably won't show up on AEW and do cross promotion and stuff like that. Because that's absolutely something that I would say. Look, if you're going to do that. Have like regular pay per views where it's like Impact versus or TNA versus AEW. That would be class. I think that would be unreal.
That would be particularly on like a tag team level, because you got Motor City Machine Guns versus like the Bucks versus FDR. Those are like the two really obvious ones, but like apart from being really obvious, those are pay-per-view main events.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Imagine Imagine Joe Henry versus Joe Henry versus Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. I mean, there's loads of things that they could do.
But imagine you do a gimmick, or not a gimmick. Imagine you do a story where Motor City Machine Gun say, "Yeah, we'll go to your pay-per-view and we take on your champions, but we won't sign up to your company." And then they win. And then they start taking your titles, around the world, defending them in Japan and Mexico and Glasgow and Coventry.
I would be cautious with that, because that's what Team 3D did with the New Japan belts, and it wasn't.
I would have been cautious with it up until about a year ago, because the AEW tag team titles were really sacrosanct, because they had a tremendous division and they really kept the significance of the titles. But I'll be honest with you, in the last year or so, they haven't.
Well, look, I mean, I definitely think there is a lot of upside to this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of upside to what's going on with Impact, with TNA going forward, and they're not the WWE, so they are going to like be aware of each other.
And also,
they have been aware of each other.
Giving TNA the AEW titles might be a nice way of thanking them for giving Kenny Omega.
Yeah, that's true too. That's
the
true
Impact
too.
title,
And it would be cool to see the Guns have those. But again, look, we don't know what's going to happen.
Definitely,
we don't know what they're planning, but that would be something cool, and it actually would be very, very interesting. Like, because again, like Impact are obviously rebranding as TNA, but AEW are looking to do more pay-per-views, and this is a no-brainer that doesn't kill their own. No, hold on. This is a no-brainer that doesn't kill their own stories and is a special attraction. So,
Dara, they're
you know,
so currently, and even this breaks my heart. Currently, they're looking at 8 pay-per-views a year, right?
yeah, but think about it, right? One of
I know,
those.
but how long before you tell me to think about it? Like I get into this because 4 pay-per-views a year makes them not just like big shows. It makes them special. It makes them unmissable, right?
No, I know, right? But what I'm
Now,
saying,
no, hold on. Like, and you can respond in a second. I'm
okay,
sorry
go
to
on.
be
No,
so.
go on. Sorry.
I'm sorry to be so ignorant.
No, go
But
on. Sorry.
4 pay-per-view makes them absolute premium. Like, you have got to see. Like, there's no question. You have to see this, right? And then they move to 6 pay-per-views a year. You're like, okay, yeah, fine. 6 pay-per-views a year. That's you've got to see this stuff. This is brilliant. 8 pay-per-views a year. You're getting to the stage now where you can start skipping pay-per-views. You can go, well, do you know what? I'll still watch the 4 big ones, and I might tune in if all in is in London, or maybe if they take it to Australia or Cross McGlen or wherever, But and you know me, I'm a diehard AEW fan. If they move to monthly pay-per-views, I think I'm done.
Well, no, I don't think Monday pay-per-views is it. But like, if you have your, just say you do 8, and one of them is Wrestle Dream.
Well, they currently do 8.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, if instead of having it being like, oh, we're building up our product and diluting it, it's crossover shows. One night, like they even bring back the Impact one night only thing, where it's like one night only AEW versus TNA, and they have like,
well,
kind
2
of like
of them are Wrestle Dream and Forbidden Door are basically crossover shows. Yeah,
exactly, and just do that with Impact. That's what I'm saying.
In fact, I actually heard that the next, again, you never know how to believe wrestling media, but apparently the next Forbidden Door isn't going to be just New Japan. It is going to include, well, by that stage it'll be TNA.
Oh, brilliant. Well, look, I mean, that's a much better use of literally anything rather than just thrown on another AEW show that nobody really wants or needs,
Exactly. Yeah. And look, I'm sure this World's End show they've announced, I'm sure it'll be amazing. Can't wait to see it. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what AEW's plan is for 2024. I think that'll tell us a lot about how we should feel about the company, because more than anyone, I am diehard AEW, but if they are going to turn into WWE in order to be as successful as WWE, I don't know, I just might have to join you in the Impact Zone.
Well, speaking of which, any thoughts on this match before we jump to our only title match of the night?
Which match is it?
This was the tag match. Sabin and Kazarian versus Brian, Mers, and Moose.
Oh, yes. I have down here my notes. Great match.
It was. Solid match.
There you go.
I think what was interesting about this was, even though Shelley was supposed to be in it and he got injured, I still think Kaz and Sabin just have that old school TNA chemistry that just works.
Yeah. Like, there's I don't know if it was because I was like a couple hours into it at this stage and this wasn't like one of the most high stakes matches, but like these tag teams out, and I was like, well, it's Sabin and Kazarian, Moose, and was it Brian
Mers?
Mayor, yeah, it's like this can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Like you're in incredibly safe hands here, and maybe the fact that I was in such safe hands, I kind of just get into a lull, you know.
Well,
and
were you surprised by the finish?
No.
You thought
Well, I thought with Moose, like, so again, I don't have your background on TNA, so whenever Moose came out,
you're like he's winning.
well, like Moose is the guy, and I'm sorry to be so AW centric, but Moose, whenever they wanted Kenny Omega to fight someone, Moose is the guy they put up, you know?
Wow, okay.
So whenever Moose came out, I was like, Moose is the guy who's going to win.
Fair, but I mean,
that's a prediction made from position of ignorance, not from.
No, but I mean, the tail end of it was actually phenomenal because both Saban and Kazarian hit all their stuff on Moose, and Moose got back up and won the match. So,
he's Moose.
Yeah, exactly.
AEW, like Kenny Omega didn't fight Moose on TNA. He fought him on AEW. Like, they obviously see Moose as a star. Like, they think Moose is a big deal.
It was funny because, like, again, like Kazarian, like Saban didn't hit all of his stuff, but Kazarian hit everything, and it still wasn't enough to put him away. So, yeah, that's a fair point. The next match was the only title match that we had of the night. Trinity versus Diana Pizarro. And obviously Trinity retained. It was a last chance match for the Impact Women's Championship, with Gail Kim being the special guest referee. Great to see you, Gail Kim. Got to see her the night before. So she was obviously traveling, so she probably is working as some kind of agent or something. But what did you think of this match?
Terrific match. Trinity, like. So do you remember when I was saying earlier about the Impact match? I thought Trinity was really going to outshine. Who was it she was wrestling? Not Jordan Grace. It was. Sorry, folks. Brett Diesel. Nope, those are the wrong notes.
No. It was. Hold on.
Emerson Jane.
That's
right?
it.
So I thought Trinity was going to outshine Emerson Jane, and she really didn't. And that's not saying about Trinity. That's to say how good Emerson Jane was. I got the exact same from this. I thought Gianna Perazzo and Trinity were absolutely brilliant. They were both toe-to-toe. They had a really good hard-hitting match. I thought the ending was maybe slightly flat. I thought they built up a really good story, and then maybe the ending let down. But I've always said that like you shouldn't be a slave to the ending. Now maybe I only adopted that opinion because of the end to the barbed wire exploding death match. But
I think it was.
I always think you should consider the entirety of the match.
I think it was flat because one, they needed to kind of protect Trinity a little bit.
Yeah.
To go into the main pay-per-view Hard to Kill, but also Gail Kim. They really wanted Gail Kim versus Perazzo to be like a thing. So flat, yes, but I thought it worked.
Yeah, not even like maybe flat's too hard. Just not even flat. Just like they built up a really good match, and then the ending just wasn't quite what the match had built. But like you say, there's like storyline reasons for that. There's, I don't want it to sound like a.
No, I get you.
Like a criticism of the match as a whole. It was a really good bloody match.
So the next match, obviously, is the main event. The big draw that people were hyped for, even in Glasgow, right? Will Ospreay and Eddie Edwards. So obviously, Will Ospreay got the pin. It was a long match. It was nearly 20 minutes. What did you think about this?
I say this as a absolute diehard.
Sorry. Rhino was against Eddie Edwards. That's what happened. in Glasgow,
Oh,
and he lost. Yeah.
I say this is a die-hard Kenny Omega fan. Will Ospreay might be the best wrestler of 2023. He can go like at All in front of the biggest crowd in history and drag an incredible wrestling match out of Chris Jericho, or he can wrestle in front of 100 people in Newcastle and wrestle an incredible wrestling match. He, like, people say stuff about Ospreay all the time about his attitude or whatever. I don't know. I've never, well, I actually have met the man. He was on a show I refereed in Cork, but that was before he got really, really big. But I don't know the man as he is now, but people talk about him being difficult or whatever, blah, blah. I don't know. All I can say is that in-ring point of view, he is absolutely sensational. And I think it speaks to his professional integrity that he is currently in the middle of a bidding war between two billionaires, between WWE and AEW. And in the middle of a bidding war between two billionaires, he says, how long? I'm going to go and wrestle for the company that gave me a start in front of a couple of hundred fans in Newcastle. I think that says a lot about him, even if not personally, professionally. I think he's, like, in terms of this match, phenomenal. I don't want to overshadow Eddie Edwards, who was brilliant also in this match. Like Will Ospreay can't have. He's an excellent wrestler, but he's not Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega can have a great match with the broom. Will Ospreay can't. Will Ospreay needs someone to wrestle, and Eddie Edwards was brilliant. I loved the finish where not the finish of the match, after the match finished, where Ospreay grabbed the microphone and he said, I know what you all want to hear. And I have an answer for you, as if he was about to say where he's going. And he goes, yes, my kitchen is finished. I thought that was great.
That was wonderful.
But then I thought it was even funnier, because that's obviously a reference to his negotiations, contract negotiations between AEW and WWE. But I thought it was even funnier when the TNA commentator went, oh, who knows? These contract negotiations, we might see the aerial assassin in TNA. It's like, no, you won't. Love you, TNA. You're amazing, but
look, I mean, to finish off the year, or to finish off Impact in general before it goes to TNA. Like, there's going to be one more event. There's Throwback Throwdown, and then there's Final Resolution. But Final Resolution hasn't been announced, so I don't think that's actually a thing anymore. I think they are just going to go for Hard to Kill. Now, I'll have to follow up on that next week on the show. But
hold on, before we go anywhere, like, what was your view? I apologize. I waffled on there for a couple of minutes. What do you think of this match?
I hate Will Ospreay.
This is the thing. I know. This is why I asked you. This is where I'm so confused, because
the match is amazing.
I know you hate Will Ospreay.
The match is probably one of the greatest wrussling matches I've seen.
Why? Why
all
do you
year.
hate Will Ospreay?
He needs to be put. He's put a mask on and never speak.
Is it bruv?
Yeah.
I don't like bruv either.
Oh, I hate it so much. It makes my skin crawl. And I just can't. So put up. You know what you do? Suicide, right? The character.
No.
You put the mask on him,
Dara.
and then you give him the music. Suicide.
Dara.
Come the light in. And
Your PTSD is showing.
I'd be all over that, and then I'd be like, yeah, Will Ospreay is suicide. Be amazing. That's what they should do.
Will Ospreay is suicide. Brought to you by the man who wants Cody Rhodes to be Stardust.
I'm not the only one. I know there's many Stardust fans out there. I know there is.
But
I don't
yeah,
know.
so I
Now the match. Look,
no, but I went on about this match not just because I thought it was a tremendous match, but because I know how you feel with Will Ospreay, and also because I know not because I know, because I want to know. Given your conflicted feelings on Ospreay, so you love TNA,
yes,
you hate Will Ospreay,
yes.
but you know this was an amazing match.
Oh, the match was amazing. Match was incredible.
And you know Ospreay brings the crowd.
Yes.
Where do you want him to go?
I said where I want him to go. He can come to TNA, but he needs to wear the mask and never speak.
Right, but if he's not going to be Bruv Suicide, where do you want Will Ospreay to go?
Oh, I mean, I've seen him in AEW. Why not just give him a run in WWE just to see? And if it doesn't work out, sure, he'll be welcome back with open arms. But judging by this match, all joking aside, the stuff in this match that I saw and that I witnessed, and I watched the match twice now. It's AJ Styles reincarnate, right? Now,
Well, I think he's pretty open about that. I think
no, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that like in an incredible way. Like AJ Styles is one of the greatest wrestlers who's ever lived. Will Ospreay is that again, younger, not injured, and has the same platform that AJ took him 10, 15 years to actually get. And I mean, why not? That would be really cool to see in WWE. You know, and if it doesn't work out, sure, he'll come back. So that's what I would like. I'd like for him to have a run in
WWE would knock the Will Ospreay out of him.
Hopefully, that'd be great. You know,
I asked that to the wrong person. I acknowledge now that I made that mistake. That was my fault.
I mean, they're the one that might give him the mask.
Yeah, exactly.
And a manager.
Exactly. And tell him, hey, see all that flippy stuff. Don't be doing that.
No. I mean, AJ Styles went in and he was perfect. You know, they didn't change anything with AJ Styles. So that's why I know they could do it. They could do it properly. But honestly, like I would like to see Kenny Omega in WWE, and I'd like to see Will Ospreay in WWE just to see what would happen. Because I haven't seen it anywhere. It's the only place I haven't seen.
What would happen would be an inferior version of Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay in New Japan, and an inferior version of Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay in AEW. Like, did you see the match they had at New Japan?
I did. It was phenomenal.
Do you think WWE would allow that to happen in their ring?
Well, Vince isn't there anymore. He sold all his stock.
It doesn't even matter. Like, you know, like people talk about WWE as if there's been this sea change. There hasn't. They have made very, very minor cosmetic changes, and because people want to love WWE, and I was like, don't think of me as a hater. I was a WWE fan for 30 years, 3 decades. I completely understand the impulse to want WWE to be the thing you want it to be, to want to love it, right?
Yes.
But I've been through so many eras of wanting to love it that I know what they ultimately do. And like, so right, currently they let people say wrestler instead of sports entertainer. Oh, Triple H is amazing. Like, nah,
Triple H is amazing.
I know you think that. I love you.
I know you think so.
but he's not. He's just Vince. It's the same thing, just with different labels. It's honest to God, like people go on about it like it's the Renaissance, and every so often I'll put it on to watch it, or like I'll watch WWE pay-per-views, like for this podcast. Like I watched Crown Jewel because I thought we were going to review it.
I mean, we can.
Oh no, please don't.
No, please no.
And I'm watching it going, this is the same thing that I hated 2 years ago, just with like a slightly different coat of paint.
Okay.
It's
Look,
the exact same thing.
Okay. I'm just gonna pull it back 1 second, right? The only reason why I would want you asked me the question and I answered it, and the only reason
I apologize for ranting.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I had to, that's fine. That's fine. You're not wrong. Genuinely, you're not wrong. But to answer your question, the only reason why I would want either of them in WWE is just see it. Because the thing about it is, it's like, there is something they could get. Like, I mean, look, Will Ospreay just needs to learn to stop saying bruv, and it would be okay.
Bruv really annoys you.
And it would be okay.
Okay, here's a question. Here's a question for you,
Go
Darren.
on.
Right. You have one wish.
Okay.
It's CM Punk shows up in WWE or TNA.
Oh.
And that's it. Only one or the other. What's going to be?
Oh, no, don't do this.
Do it, Darren.
No.
This is Sophie's choice. This is Darren's choice.
Okay, hold on. I have to ask some clarifying questions first.
Right, go for it.
So, CM Punk showing up with WWE, is it like long term? Is it like a couple of years? Or is it like he's here?
For either company.
Okay.
Whichever company he shows up in, he stays for the same amount of time. Like, we both know it'll only be 6 weeks before he smacks someone backstage. But there's no difference. There's no disparity between which one he shows up for.
Right. The only reason why I wouldn't want them in Impact is because he needs someone
No
to
Impact, and you don't want him to kill us.
Yes, that's the reason. That is actually the reason. I was trying to find a better, like, softer way to put it, but no, that's literally the reason. Yeah.
Oh my god! I'm sorry, folks. I know me.
That's it. My fear.
Connections into the microphone isn't very good radio, but that was just
my fear of what he could do on, like, without like a WWE structure, like, going, no, stop. That you're right. That's literally my answer. Yeah. Because that could happen.
Oh, yo, it would absolutely, like, AEW is run by a billionaire, and he almost brought it down. He'd kill TNA in a weekend.
Exactly. So it's just like, no.
He'd get in there and he'd decide that he could take Moose, and he'd attack Moose backstage, and then Moose would tie him up in knots, and then he'd decide that he cut a promo on the whole company. Like,
So no, he needs to stay far away from TNA, and yeah. That's my answer.
Oh, damn.
I do think the only company that can actually control him is WWE. Genuinely. They're the only ones that say no to him.
Do you know, I kind of agree, but not because I think WWE can control him. I think because AEW fired him, and now he knows that WWE is his only option. So I don't think it would be that WWE could control him. I think it would be that, like, oh my God, that Mark Tony Khan loved me and he still fired me. I must be terrible. Maybe I should behave myself at my next company.
Like, don't get me wrong. I do think if he showed up, they would be like, absolutely, and maybe use him for 1 or 2 shows. But there is the danger. And my fear is exactly what you said, that he takes down the whole company in an afternoon.
Here, there's a current theory that do you follow AEW at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so do you know who the devil is? There's that.
Yes.
There's this mysterious guy in the devil mask. There's this current theory that Punk is the devil. And everyone online is like, oh my God, guys, I legit think Punk is the devil. Like, and they're following all these wee notes and these wee trends and these wee hints. And I'm sitting there going, please, Jesus, don't let Punk.
Please, Jesus.
I don't even
Please.
I don't even believe in Jesus. Just please Loughnane, don't let Punk be the devil. He's done the damage. He's an absolute diva. He attacks employees. He destroys the morale in the locker room. He is without doubt a huge name. He is a phenomenal promo, and he is an incredible wrestler. And I was happier than anyone to see him come into AEW, but
You drank all the Kool-Aid.
I did, and he has disappointed me beyond belief to the point where I never want to see him again.
Ever?
And if he showed up in WWE, I would. Do you remember when Cody was going to finish the story at WrestleMania, and then he got beat, and then someone threw a rubber chicken in the ring, and I laughed for about a week. And, and I think if CM Punk showed up in WWE, I'd laugh for a fortnight.
Is that that bit from The Simpsons, where like Mr. Burns keeps laughing?
Yeah, I'd be
just in the shower laughing.
Because all these WWE fans say, "Oh my God, CM Punk has showed up! Yeah, it's going to be amazing!" And I just laugh and laugh and laugh because you have no clue what is coming, you absolute morons.
I'm not going to lie. If he shows up, I would be very excited. But
yeah, it'd be a hell of a pop. Like, you text me during the week going, "Oh, think of the pop." Yeah, it'd be a hell of a pop, and then it'd be a hell of a explosion.
Like, look, yeah, my fear, if he was show up in Impact, I would have to board a plane over and be like, "No, lads, no, seriously, don't, no, because the fear of him destroying the company that I love would be. Yeah. It would be warranted, I would say, because
you'd have to sneak into the TNA locker room and go, "Moose, I know you're supposed to lose the Punk tonight, but look, you're twice the size of him. Just roll him up. Just roll him up. Do a Montreal. Just roll him up."
Oh man, but no, you always ask the hard questions, Martin.
We know we've seen his UFC. We know we can't really fight, so just roll him up.
I actually, funny enough, I watched his UFC fight there again recently. Like literally the other day. It's pretty terrible, alright.
But it's like we had this, like this is one of the great things about it being in this podcast so long, is that we can call back to things. Like when Punk first showed up in AEW, I was over the moon, and you had huge reservations because you couldn't stand by, or not even stand by, you couldn't buy into his credibility because he'd been whipped in UFC.
Yeah,
and like even I
comprehensively.
Like, do you remember we had these conversations where I had tried saying, well, they're two different things. It's like someone's great at jiu-jitsu, they could still get beaten up in judo. They're two different. Exactly. But you were like, no, it's really affected his credibility. For me, the main not even allure, but the main image of Punk was this kind of righteous man of the people. He's always talking about workers' rights. He's always walking out wearing T-shirts about, support the strike, support trans rights, support this other,
Yeah, but he's working everybody. He's a worker.
But that's it. And maybe, do you know what it is? Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I'm the wrestling fan who bought into a guy, and now I'm hurt because it turned out to be fake. But it was fake all along. It's like maybe I'm just the 80s version of someone who believed in the power of prayer and vitamins.
Vitamins, yeah. I mean, look,
maybe that's all I am. But maybe I'm just butthurt. Maybe it's that simple.
I mean, to be honest with you, but remember, I would say to you, and look, guys, you can go back and listen to this on the show. I would go back and when he was doing the Walmart greeter Phil thing, I'm like, that's fake. That
Yeah,
he
you
means
hated it so much.
because it was so fake. It's like he means none of that. All of that is lies, And I don't know what it was.
But
It's just
here's what I don't understand. So you were so dismissive of that, right? And now there's a chance he might go to WWE, right? And you were sending memes going like, "Oh my God, CM Punk might go to WWE." Like, if he is that fake in AEW, how fake is he going to be in the company that fired him on his wedding day, and that he's only going to out of pure spite?
because he won't actually say anything. He will just be him. He will just be that antagonistic person because that's what everybody wants him to be.
He'd be double fake. That's triple
No,
fake.
no. I mean, the thing about it is like the problem with him in AEW was he said one thing and did another. In WWE, what got him over was him just cutting promos about how bad WWE was. That's what got him over.
But he can't do that again. Like, WWE's on a hot streak now. Like, he can't like that. All that worked in the noughties when WWE was terrible. Like, when he was the only thing worth watching on WWE. But he comes out and says, like, I'm not even a WWE fan, but if he comes out and says that stuff in WWE now, like, Walter would come out and smack the head of him. Just.
But wouldn't you want to see it? Wouldn't you want to see that?
Yes, as a wrestling fan, I would want to see it. But as a realist, do I think CM Punk is going to sign up to a contract where Walter beats the life out of him? Bearing in mind, this is CM Punk who had a hissy fit when the House of Black chopped him too hard.
See, the thing about it is, again, he has to play ball because he has nowhere else to go. And my fear would be if he went to Impact, they'd be like, "Oh, Punk, do whatever you want," and then the place would be on fire and he'd walk out.
But this is why I love you, Dara, but this is why I think you're kind of a sadist, because you want him to go to all these companies that you don't care about.
That's fair.
You don't want him to go to the one company that you do care about.
Yeah, that's true. I don't want him to hurt Impact or TNA because he will. Like that's why when we're talking about Bray Wyatt, God rest him, I think he would have been great for TNA and Impact. I think he was actually genuinely built for that. Like that was where he should have been.
Especially now.
He's perfect for it.
On upswing. Imagine TNA as they are now, on a bit of an upswing. Things are looking good, and then they get like an extra kick, like a Bray Wyatt signs up. Bang!
Amazing. Wow. Be unbelievable.
That'd legitimately, be a lift.
But bringing in Punk, that would just be, it would be. I'm going to say something really strong here. It would be as detrimental to TNA Impact as bringing in Hulk Hogan and Bischoff was.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because when Hogan and Bischoff were brought in, nobody said no to them.
Oh, and you got an initial boost.
Yeah, and then it just got worse and worse.
It wasn't worth like if I could go back, and I'm love Punk's run in AEW. Like I talk a lot of stuff about Punk because like I'm a mark and I feel personally hurt by what he did.
We do a wrestling podcast. We're both.
Yeah, I know, but I am, and I feel, even though I have no right to, I don't know the man, but I feel personally hurt by what he did. But that doesn't mean he's not a brilliant wrestler.
No, he is.
That doesn't mean
he is genuinely
brilliant
the best
promo. Like,
he is genuinely the best promo in the world.
Some of my favorite stuff in AEW history will always be Punk. Punk Kingston, amazing. Punk MJF, amazing. Like this stuff is not just like all time AEW. It's all time wrestling. Like it's just some of the best stuff that has ever happened. And I think that the fact that I love that so much speaks to how much of a liability I think he is. That honest to God, I don't want him back. So people are talking about Punk being the devil. I truly, truly hope he isn't. I honest to God hope he isn't.
I think with Punk, the only way you can have him in your company is if you have someone who's sitting there and going, right, you need to actually control him. And without having that oversight, he just can't be anywhere. And there's only one company today.
But his person who used to control him was Ace Steel. And we have the Ace Steel chomper scale. So
no, but I mean, there needs to be someone, not like a boss. You know, Tony Khan was his boss and he wasn't. I mean, in WWE, even in Impact, because he's such a big name, I don't think there would be enough resistance to him. They'd be like, okay, leave him to it or whatever. And it would just derail anything that they have going, because there is that family, you know, we're all in this together, real kind of push now in Impact, which is exactly what Impact TNA needed.
Which is exactly what they had in AEW. And then Punk showed up. Like, do you remember people used to call it all friends wrestling?
Exactly, yeah.
Nobody called it that since Punk showed up.
No, because Punk went in and nuclear bombed it, you know?
Jeez,
I mean, again,
he is.
But I will say,
like,
you
absolutely,
know, like what brought me over
just
to
the worst.
What brought me to All In though, right? And remember, I just got off the flight. I was exhausted. I was like, no, I'm gonna go because I have to see Punk versus Joe. And I was not the only, like, when I was at the Impact show, the second most popular shirt that wasn't an Impact shirt or TNA shirt, CM Punk.
Okay, but listen.
Oh, sorry.
Be honest.
Third, because the Bullet Clubs are everywhere, but still.
But be honest, right? And be honest with me here, because I was there as well.
Yes.
Whose chants were louder, Punk or Joe?
Where I was, it was 50-50. But
where I was, it was Joe.
Yeah, like a lot of people did hate Punk a lot, but then a lot of people liked them too. It's always going to be that way. But I mean, AEW did not know what they had. I think they walked into a trap.
Oh my God! Oh, Dara, I can't believe. All right, we're gonna have a fight.
No, we're
gonna fight.
No.
AEW knew exactly what they had. They bent over backwards.
No, you misunderstand me. No, you misunderstand me.
He's just a diva.
No, you misunderstand me. That's what I'm saying to you.
Apologize.
No, it's okay. They don't know what they had. They thought they had this
a reasonable person, but
exactly.
It turned out they had an arsehole.
Exactly. They thought they had.
I got so close to not.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So they had this golden goose that was going to do all this. They didn't realize, and if they had to listen to this show, we would have been able to tell them. But Punk, you know, like this is a man who just turns down everything on a whim.
How many wrestling catastrophes could have been resolved by bookers just listening to our show?
Absolutely. Like, we literally laid out everything, and what happened was worse because they weren't aware that they're like, right, yes, you have one of the biggest stars in wrestling history, and that's Punk. I'm not using hyperbole, he is, right? But
it absolutely is.
But at the same time, you have one of the biggest stars in wrestling history, and what that actually means. It means he's a diva. It means he's going, he's the modern day Hulk Hogan. This doesn't work for me, brother.
He's 1990 Shawn Michaels.
Exactly. And I don't think when AEW signed him, they were aware of this. And they learned it the very much the hard way. And my fear with Impact Wrestling doing that, or TNA, was like, oh, we have this. And then he shows up. And everything they do, and it could work. That's the thing. I mean, who knows? If they had have like fully let Punk do what he wanted to do and Tony gave off everything to him, it might have worked. Probably wouldn't have. Probably would have run the company into the ground because that's where it was going. But at the same time, it could work. It's just such a massive gamble. And I would hate to see any company except for WWE do that, because WWE are the only ones that could actually
Survive.
realistically risk it. Because again, there's someone going, no,
I
stop,
don't. I
you know?
don't think they could control Punk.
I don't think
But
so either.
I think.
But they
I think.
wouldn't.
I
He
think they're
wouldn't
the
take
only
them down.
company that could survive.
Yeah, he wouldn't take them down. Anyone
Yeah.
smaller than WWE, he would take them down
Like,
because of what happened.
like, honest to God, let's think back to AW. AW was white hot,
Roaring. Yeah,
for 4 years.
yeah.
They were legitimately, and it sounds silly to say it now. Nah, man, they were legitimately nipping at the heels of Raw in terms of the ratings. They actually overtook Raw a couple of times, not in overall viewers, but in the demographics.
Yeah.
You know, like TV companies only use the, what is it, the 18 to
The 35.
35, because those are the only people who buy stuff, apparently, blah, blah. Or whatever it was, right? Like, AEW was absolutely cooking. And then Punk came in, and it was like it was the peak, the absolute peak of it, right?
Mm.
And from Punk came in, the company went from, do you remember Jim Cornette used to go, all friends wrestling, or everybody's having a great time backstage, as if that was a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right?
All friends wrestling.
Yeah, as if
That was a good one.
Like Jim
Yeah.
Cornette going, everybody in this company gets love. What? Right? Is that a what? Is that absurd? And from Punk came in, that just went down, down, and down, down. And then he had his breakdown at All Out, which famously I thought was a promo, and I hold my hands up to this day whenever the Wrestling Rewind did the All Out review. I was like, oh my god, that was the best promo ever. He set up a year worth of feuds.
See, and
I
even
didn't
you,
realize how right I was.
and even you, Martin, you didn't know what Punk was. And I was sitting here the whole time, and I was overjoyed when that happened, because I'm like, oh, this is actually Punk. He's actually here. And I failed to remember that when he's actually somewhere, it if it isn't controlled, it will just rot the entire company. Because I mean, that's what it is. He's like the way Vince Russo has some great ideas, but without a very strong filter and someone saying no, it can actually, like a cancer, run through the entire company.
It was like when I said, God, do you know what I'd love, Dara? I'd love to see like a TNA show run by ECW. and you went, all right.
Oh, yeah. Your wish is my command.
Is that your wish?
Oh, man.
It's like, oh, Dara, I'd love to see CM Punk back in wrestling. You were like, oh, all right, Martin. Is that what you want?
See, the thing about it is,
an awful evil bastard, Dara.
I can be, but at the same time, it's more just like, okay, this can happen. But here's the thing: you hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And I think the only company again that would do that is WWE, because they're like, oh, we can't let him go mad again, you know. But at the same time,
here's the point: is that you constantly gave out. Whenever I was like super high in CM Punk, you constantly gave out because he wasn't CM Punk. You were like, oh no, he's a babyface. He's Walmart greeter Phil. I mean, he couldn't have been anything other than a babyface because he come back to wrestling for the first time in 7 years. Like, you couldn't make him a heel, right?
Well, he is one. That's the problem.
Yeah,
like, naturally, he is one.
You hated that.
I did.
Because, not necessarily because he was a face, because Punk can be a face, but you hated that because he wasn't CM Punk, right?
Yes.
I am telling you now, if Phil Brooks, and I wish him all the best in the world, if Phil Brooks signs with modern day WWE, he will not be CM Punk.
What do you think he'll be?
I think he'll be PG Punk.
No,
Well,
I think no, I think
well,
there will
well,
have
well,
to be a
well,
bit more of an edge. Genuinely, I think there will have to be a bit
how?
more of an edge.
WWE is a publicly traded company.
He's not gonna go out and disparage Tony Khan, but I'd
No,
imagine.
but he'd have to go and wrestle in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
He'd have to go and wrestle in Saudi Arabia after calling it the blood money pay per view. He'll have to wrestle for Raw and SmackDown after saying I left wrestling in 2004.
but see, the thing about it is,
His whole character is demolished. Like if he goes to WWE, and I'm sure he'll get a massive pay packet, but if he goes to WWE, everything that is CM Punk dissolves. The principles, the stand, like the whole character of CM Punk, if he goes to WWE, is laid bare. It's not about the principles. It's not about workers' rights. It's they gave me a load of money.
well, okay. Have you seen the episode of The Simpsons where
If it was pre-season 12, then yes. If
So-
it was post-season 12, then no.
so Krusty opens up a camp, right?
Oh, yeah.
And basically it's terrible. And then Krusty shows up and Bart's like, how could you lend your seal of approval on this? He's like, they drove a dump truck full of money up to my house. I'm not made of stone.
But that only feeds into my point. If CM Punk is brought into a company by them driving a truckload of cash up his house, that only further damages the CM Punk character. It's like we were talking about earlier. You thought the CM Punk character was damaged by him being beaten in a UFC fight. I didn't particularly think that mattered because it was a different sport. But for me, CM Punk has always been about the righteous indignation, the standing up for, you know, the strikers, the trans rights, like demanding a wrestlers union, all that stuff. And he came into like an independent wrestling company and his ego ruined it. And it, like if he goes back now out of spite to the company that fired him while he shit himself in the middle of the ring while he was sick, and he goes back to them, it's just because he's annoyed with Tony Khan. Like he can't be he can't be the wrestler of righteous indignation. He can't be the man who stands up for principles. He can't be the man who demands wrestlers' rights. His more than you thought when he lost that UFC fight, his character was damaged. He can go back to WWE and he'll make $10 million, but his character will be assassinated.
But see, that's the thing. You have a different reception of his character. I would expect him to do that because at the end of the day, Punk is
a shell.
Well, that's not the word I would use. A businessman is the one to use. But he also, I mean, in the feud with
so tell me then, how does the pipe bomb have any legitimacy coming from a businessman?
Well, I mean,
then he's not. Then it's not about. He's not demanding that he be profiled because he's the voice of the people.
No, he's demanding because he wants to get paid.
He's demanding he be profiled because he wants his business to do better than somebody else's business.
But see, here's the thing. In that feud that you mentioned, Triple H literally said those words to him. He said, you're only demanding these things when it benefits CM Punk.
Yeah.
And that's
like
true.
You making me agree with.
And that's true. And the thing about it is, it's like what Punk has, because remember, Punk was in WWE before and he did 3 or 4 different characters. And my favorite character that he did was a Straight Edge Society, where it was just him riffing on being straight edge, and he was a proper heel for it. And that's the Punk that I always liked. Yeah, I liked the voice of the voices. That was cool. But when he's being a heel close to himself, that's close. And when he did the pipe bomb, he was annoyed because he was being overlooked. And there was always that sense of bitterness in him where you're like, oh, you're annoyed because you're not doing it. And I always was like, okay, that's fair. So when he was in AEW, I was like, oh man, you don't, the minute this goes bad, you're going to turn on this, And I think if he went back to WWE, fair enough, he would have to be the face for a while, massive pop, blah, blah, blah. But just say he's there for a year, right? And they just let him go out and talk. He can take target at anyone there. John Cena coming back, getting a mass. The Rock being Roman Reigns being champion. There are just stuff that if he's allowed, just complain basically, he would be super over. It makes more sense than going into somewhere like TNA where it's him just kicking puppies, and that's not nice.
The best take I heard this week was someone on Twitter going, I hope CM Punk shows up at Survivor Series, and then I hope The Rock shows up at the Royal Rumble, and that The Rock takes his place at WrestleMania.
Like, look, I will say this much, and we'll leave it at this. I don't think CM Punk being brought back to WWE is a reward for anybody. I think it's 100% a business transaction where WWE are like, right, this will pop a big buy rate. People will expect it, and it will make headlines.
But
at the same,
that's exactly why I think it won't happen.
But at the same time, if Punk goes there, he's aware I have no other options. So
business reasons, like, oh, he could wrestle this person, he could wrestle that person, he could do that. I don't think WWE cares about creative anymore. Like their whole focus, particularly now with the UFC TKO merger, their whole focus is business and public perception and all that. So I don't think they care about all the great matches they could have. They're looking at CM Punk and they're going, all right, so big name, yeah, all right. If Punk starts with WWE tomorrow, like, it'd be huge news, but is it going to bring anyone to WWE who wasn't already watching it?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like, the thing about it is, it's like,
I hate WWE, and I still watch WWE pay-per-views.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I don't think Punk brings any extra eyes. So if you're only examining this from the point of a businessman, I don't think Punk brings any extra eyes to WWE. But you know what he does bring? A phenomenal amount of risk. His previous employer fired him not only after making him his own program to keep him happy.
I can't believe
that. To keep him happy, he made him his own program, and he still had to fire him because he started a fight with a 24-year-old. Like, there's if this wasn't wrestling, like, if I went for a job with, I don't know, who's higher nowadays? If I went for wrestling with Santander, right? If I went for a job with Santander and they go, oh, I see you used to work for Bank of Ireland. I did, yeah, and I was very good in Bank of Ireland. They really liked me, and I brought a lot of customers to Bank of Ireland. And they go, ooh, and why did you leave Bank of Ireland? It's like, well, I assaulted one member of staff, and then Bank of Ireland gave me my own division, so I wouldn't assault any more members of staff. But then when they gave me my own division, I got around that, and I found a young fella who just joined, and I assaulted him, and I got around it, you know. I assaulted him. God, and you know what? Not only did I assault him, but I assaulted him just after coming back from helping a customer with a bunch of checks. I didn't care. I was coming back going, Jesus, Jesus, Martin, you did a great job there with that customer. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to headbutt Peter. I'm going to headbutt Peter from finance. And Santander will go, yeah, well, we'll call you.
I mean, this is a true statement. It's like this is a true statement. I mean, any other job would be like security.
But I think WWE is going to be the same because like
I don't think so.
look,
It's wrestling.
WWE, yeah, but
Wrestling.
they're riding high right now. Like they are flying.
But do you not
They
think
have
it would? do you not think it would-
Absolutely no need to bring. Do you know what? I actually think they might bring him in next year, like after WrestleMania, after you know the Cody story, the Bloodline story. After all that, when they need new threats, maybe they'll bring him in then. But at the moment, not a chance. He's a liability.
He is, but he's always been a liability. That's why I just find it so. It's heartbreaking. I mean, it's really funny at one point, but it's also heartbreaking because it's like, how did you not see this coming? I mean, like if I could say anything to Tony Khan, I'd be like, how did you not see what he did everywhere else? Like even working for Marvel, apparently it was problems. It was like, and all he did was write bad comic books. I mean,
but this is the best and the worst thing about Tony Khan. This is why I love AEW. But this is also why AEW has problems. Tony Khan loves wrestling. Vince McMahon hated wrestling.
That's true. But Vince McMahon doesn't run it anymore.
Eric
Triple H does.
Bischoff didn't care about wrestling. Eric Bischoff could have been running a bloody, I don't know, a insurance company for all he cared. He didn't. Tony Khan actually loves wrestling. Right? And that's his greatest strength because it means he can bring wrestlers in and he can like assure them that they are valued and they can make like genuinely like heartbreaking, like brilliant stories. Like some of the AEW storylines have been just, I still remember, like I still almost tear up when Hangman Page was doing that interview with JR, and he just said, I remember word for word, he just said, I feel toxic from head to toe. I could nearly cry, right? So Tony Khan's greatest strength is also his greatest weakness. He loves wrestling and he loves wrestlers, right? That's brilliant. But the problem is that a lot of wrestlers are carnies, and
it's part of it.
They don't see a man who loves wrestling. They see a mark,
and he's the money mark.
But that's not fair. That's not right. He like.
See, no lessons.
I think when people call him that, they don't remember, right? People don't remember what wrestling was like in 2019.
Martin,
it was awful.
Martin,
it was the worst.
Martin, what I'll say to you on that is, and this is what I've always said about people with AEW from the start, right? Impact Wrestling went through this. Dixie Carter, lovely woman, genuinely was.
Nothing like that. Come on, now.
Lovely woman.
Come on, now. He's nothing like that.
What happened was she got taken in and was just milk dry and nearly took the. And look, I don't. It's incredible that Impact is still around. Generally, it's a credit. Really.
Are you telling me that the problem with wrestling is wrestlers? Is that
lack of leadership?
No, it sounds like you're saying the problem with wrestling is wrestlers.
Lack of leadership controlling wrestlers. And that's why, for all of his faults, the only one who's actually been able to control a wrestler to an extent, but not control himself. That's the funny thing. So is Vince McMahon and now Triple H. But Vince wasn't able to control himself and he ruined his own product. But this is what kind of happens. It's like if there isn't a filter in some way, there isn't checks and balances, this can kind of happen. And that was the big lesson that I thought people would have learned from like the whole Dixie Carter thing. And he never did. You know, so I mean, maybe Tony Khan has learned it now, you know, but going back to what we said, if whoever hires a wrestler, like I say, it's a Kevin Nash or, you know, Hulk Hogan or you have to know what you're getting. And what worries me about AEW is they brought in Ric Flair.
Hold on. Right
Come
now,
on.
this is another story, right?
I know, but
and I want to get into this. People are acting like this is the end of the world. Like,
no, it's not.
they brought in Ric Flair, and like, think of all the young up and coming wrestlers that they could. No, Ric Flair will occasionally accompany Sting to the ring, and he's not even being paid by AEW. His payment is coming from this energy drink. Yeah, this energy drink sponsorship, right? So Ric Flair is not going to run for the title. He will in fact, Sting actually had a match last week and Ric Flair wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
Sting will very occasionally be accompanied by Ric Flair. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't know why Tony agreed to it, because it doesn't seem like value for money, but the idea that this is some sort of, you know, the old boys are running the show, it's just nonsense.
No. I don't think that. But the thing about it is, it's like, these are just, as you said, you brought it, my TNA PTSD. It's Danger Will Robinson, you know? And you're just like, oh God, you're not learning, you know? And it's just kind of, because it can go, like, we could sit here and every week I could just pick out the worst of TNA or the worst of Impact, where you can see how bad this goes. You know, I did it as a joke once where we sat and watched Hardcore Justice, but, you know.
But Dara.
Yes.
You sit here and you talk about the worst of TNA. You sit here and you talk about Hardcore Justice. You sit here and you know, we use like all these pejoratives about TNA. But whenever Impact changed their titles to TNA, you could not have been more excited.
Absolutely.
Loved the shows we just reviewed. And I love the shows we just reviewed. You know?
And this is why it's so heartbreaking.
I think it's time to say that you're a TNA mark.
Oh, you know what? I have no problem with that. But the thing about it is, it's like, that's why I can't give my heart to AEW, because it's like, I've seen these, I've been hurt before. I will not be hurt again.
But that's exactly why. That's what I love you to bits. But that's what frustrates me so much about you, is that you should give your heart to AEW, because it's not the worst of TNA. It's the best of TNA. It's the great wrestlers. It's the great matches. It's whenever the wrestling world was marooned, like in 2018, 2019, and all we had was, I know New Japan and Impact and all that existed, but like if you're an international fan, like all you have access to is WWE. And it was so bad. It was so bad. And we were like, please, Terry Funk, please just give us a company that doesn't have scripted promos, that allows blood, that lets wrestlers pick their own characters, that doesn't bombard us with 40 video packages every 20 minutes because they think we've forgotten what happened 18 minutes ago. And the litany of complaints we had back then, every single one of those complaints was answered by AEW, right? AEW was literally the answer to all our prayers. And because a certain section of wrestling fans are so beholden to WWE, that just we want it to be good. It's like, do you remember when we started this, we were like, we don't hate WWE. We want it to be good. We're begging it to be good. I think
You're
there's
past it now.
Oh, I'm gone. The minute I'll tell you what it was for me. The Hell in a Cell with
Oh, yeah. With
with
the Fiend.
Fiend and Seth Rollins. I was like,
Oh, devastating.
like,
Devastating.
I don't care if AW turns out to be 5-star wrestling. I'm done with this bullshit.
But I mean, you're not wrong, and I still have hope for AEW. But I mean, for the first time in a long time, with WWE kind of turning the corner, I'm still positive with it, but cautiously optimistic. With AEW, and look, it's probably my fault that I will judge them overly harsh, but it's just because, man, when you've seen it before and you're like, oh, you know.
No, hold on. What have you seen before? When have you seen Omega Osprey before? When have you seen Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. before? When have you seen Eddie Kingston Punk before? You haven't seen any of this.
It's not the in ring. It's not the in ring product. It's the backstage.
No,
it's the backstage stuff that's the problem.
But the backstage stuff is bullshit, right? The backstage stuff is fucking gossip by digital dirt sheets. That's all it is, right? Like, they were talking about dirt sheets in the 80s, and we're talking about dirt sheets now, right? Like, I don't know. I find it so frustrating.
That's fair.
Because all I want is people to go, right, judge this on what you see. Sit down on a Wednesday and watch for 2 hours and then judge it. Don't sit down on a Wednesday and watch for 2 hours and then go on Twitter and decide what your opinion is.
Well, Martin, we've said this before. Do not go on Twitter for any reason.
Do not go on Twitter for any reason.
You know, but look, I mean, you are right, and you laid it out in a very, very good, compelling way. You know, it's just it's difficult.
I would say unless you're going on Twitter because you are a scientist who has developed nanobots that can crawl through Twitter up into Elon Musk's phone and strangle him in his sleep. And if that's you, go for it. Otherwise, stay off Twitter. It's a hellscape. And
I think on that point, Martin, we will wrap up because we've gone for 3 hours.
I'm so sorry. Dara wanted to go for 55 minutes. I'm the worst co-host.
No, it's okay. The only reason why I want to go 55 minutes is because I'm competing tomorrow morning. But other than that, it's grand. I mean, we got nice comprehensive coverage of everything, which is good.
But you know what I think the best part of this podcast is? What? Is that tomorrow Dara's victory will be all the greater because his opponent will have a nice long sleep and be well rested and they'll have no excuses. And Dara will still go in there and spin kick the goddamn face off them.
That's fair. Let's hope. Let's go in being hopeful. But Martin, is there any you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, I've been playing Far Cry 5.
Oh.
Decent crack. Been enjoying that. And apart from Far Cry 5, what was the other thing I was playing? I was playing something else. Oh God, yes, that's what I want to tell you about. Ace, not Ace Steel.
Ace Steel, Blading Simulator.
Ace Phoenix, Attorney at Law.
Oh, what a game! What a series of games, actually.
I've been playing, yeah. So they're all on Game Pass, and I'm playing them, and now I think I'm a goddamn lawyer.
Objection. That's very good.
No, apart from that, I don't have anything to say except don't hire CM Punk. I don't care if you're Poundland in Yuri. Don't hire CM Punk. He will destroy your workforce. Your company will close down. I don't care if you're Sainsbury's in Wexford. Don't hire CM Punk.
Just a sign saying, "Don't hire this man," and it's just a
Don't
picture of
hire
CM Punk.
this man.
Oh man, there's a
What
Simpsons
about you,
quote.
Dara? If you hadn't, oh, actually, do you know what I meant to tell you?
Come on.
I don't know if you've seen this, but I've been waiting. I meant to text you about this and I forgot now. Oh, I can't believe I get to reveal it to you in person.
Okay.
There has been new DLC revealed for Vampire Survivors.
More DLC.
Woo! Yeah, a whole new
Oh man.
adventure campaign.
Oh, what a game! I'll be honest with you, right? That game consumes massive amounts of my life.
It's ridiculous.
But it's like I've now taken it on flights with me, and it's like literally two or three. Like, well, if you're going to England, it's like you might get 1 or 2 games of it, but you can just make flights disappear by playing that.
Oh
game.
yeah, it's preposterous.
It's the greatest game
Also,
ever made by humans.
If
And
you
it's-
have
oh,
if
I
you
love
have
it
an
so much.
Xbox, you can get it for free. So get it for free. But if you don't have an Xbox, it's like £3 to download it. Oh my god, this game's amazing.
Life changing.
Yeah.
Life changing. And
Just get this game.
with that, I'm probably going to play that a bunch this weekend.
Ah,
I love it so much. So yeah, go buy Vampire Survivors. It's unbelievable.
fine.
And we're going to leave it there.
I heard CM Punk wanted to be made secret boss in Vampire Survivors. They told him no.
They told them no. Oh man. Do not hire this man.
Do not hire.
So folks, we'll be back next week here on
Yes,
The
we will,
Wrestling
'cause
Rewind.
we're back on track.
Back on track. And I don't know what we're covering, but it'll be something good. Go to our social media and you
Bloody
can
in your house. I swear to
yeah,
God,
in
I
your
love
house.
you, Dara. But we started this
we have to finish it.
map, this whatever, and we're going to finish it, right?
Yes,
We're going
we
to do
will.
it. There's only 19 in your houses. We've got 6 of them done, and I'm pretty sure they're the 6 worst. So it's all good from here out.
But that's what it's going to be. We're going to be back next week with
I understand your reticence, given how terrible the first 5 in your houses are. They are objectively awful.
Once Road Dogg and Jeff Jarrett leave, it really, really does die a death. I'm convinced. I'm convinced they were carrying the whole show the whole time.
Oh, you didn't know?
But yes, we'll be back next week with In Your House. And guys, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and spread the word of the podcast. We will talk to you next week here on The Wrestling Rewind. Bye guys.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.